InvolveSoft is helping leaders streamline the mission and vision of the company to their employees. So it's about how do you do that right top-down communication to employees while making impact in the community. So we do that. We've recently introduced a lot of natural language processing and artificial intelligence for recommendations, but basically we're connecting employees to volunteering opportunities in their area and then recording the impact for the companies to build a better brand.
Awesome, awesome. And we're really interested in you as a technical founder. I mean, what are some of the challenges that you faced as being a CTO for a technology company that's incorporating things like you're talking about, like AI and your recommendation engine? What are unique challenges of being a technical co-founder?
I think the unique challenge of being a technical co-founder is you're always excited by new technologies and something new that's emerging, and you will always want to put it in your platform because that's the next big thing. There's always a really good line between what's cool and what's really required. So how do you map the actual user's pain point to these new technologies and then put it in? Otherwise, I've done that before and made that mistake before, and clients go like, yeah, that's cool, we'll check it out, and then they never use it. The point is, how do we make an impact with that technology in your client base? So that's definitely a challenge. The second biggest challenge is, of course, talent. Again, you need a good team to be able to implement the vision that you have for the product. So again, technical talent is far and rare. Female technical talent is even more rare. For me, as a female technical founder, I want to have 50% of my development team to be female. So from that talent pool that kind of narrows down options even more, that's something that is definitely a challenge. And then finally, like as me, as a female founder and who's technical, I think I've had somebody ask me once that, hey, were you out of like other talent that you had to hire females? Like the constant feeling of, or if I go to client meetings, they don't think I'm the CTO. They think I'm HR or some other thing. Like the constant having to prove to everybody that, I can code, I have fingers, I have a brain, and I have eyes. It's the same thing. But that's definitely a special challenge for me, especially here in the LA area. I think I check a lot of diversity boxes, which can be a good and a bad thing. I'm an immigrant, I'm brown, I'm a C-level executive, I'm a technical co-founder. When I walk into a room, sometimes people like to show me off, which is also another, extreme thing, like, Saumya, please stand up. And I'm like, why? It's the same thing. Like the singling out is like over inclusion is also a form of like segregation. So those are like some of the challenges.
We wanted to definitely ask about being like a female leader, and I mean, so in terms of confronting those challenges, I mean, is it just, what are some ways maybe that you face them, but what are some ways that you can push back against it? Are there ways of being more proactive maybe about I don't know, I don't know, obviously, like I'm a white male.
What strategies have you used that you've seen effective here
in counteracting those?
I think the most effective strategy, and I don't know if a lot of people will have that luxury or not, is having people who are men around you who are also feminists. Drew, I don't know if I told you this story, but when we were raising our round, when we raised our 2.5 million, so to be able to start closing the round, we needed to have 1.5 and we were at 1.4. So we needed this 100K to start closing. And we had this group of investors, and they were from all over the US. And there was this group conference, which was like 30 people. And we were giving our pitch. And this one guy asked us, so how do you deal with like controversial and political events like the Me Too movement? And do you keep them on your platform? And I'm looking at them and I'm like, controversial and political? What are you talking about? And I'm telling Gaurav, I'm like, just say yes, just say we remove them, we need the money. And Gaurav stood there and he went like, First of all, the Me Too movement is not controversial and political. It's about gender equality. And no, we don't remove them because every company should adopt it. And I was like, I was so pissed off at him. I'm like, why would you do this? You know, we need that money. How will we close the round? And he was like, are you crazy? He's like, you're my co-founder. You're my best friend. You're a woman. I would never say that. He's like, I don't care. I don't want their money. And it was such a, for lack of better word, like gutsy move on his end. But there was the only woman on that panel emailed him later and went like, us as women are very proud to have a man like you on our side. And I don't know, like she definitely vetoed for us. We didn't get the money, but it just makes your life easier if you are able to influence at least the close ones around you to be able to advocate for you. You need to have more feminist men. That's what basically needs to happen.
Yeah, like having allies makes, holds you accountable too to make sure you don't compromise your values,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want him to stand up for me, but he did. And, that's a very defining moment for us during this journey as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So kind of zooming out a little bit more generally, I mean, what advice would you offer as somebody who, like you said, you've closed a fairly large funding round, 2.5 million is nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, what advice would you offer to other aspiring entrepreneurs who are, in the pre-seed stage?
I think keep your ear to the ground is the most important. That is a mistake that we originally made, and that needs, that if I can tell anybody what is the thing you need to not do, which is don't listen to anybody, listen to your market. That is, I think Adeo keeps focusing on that so much. And, every time, like during our Found Institute pitches, you don't really understand the value of it until you're in the trenches. It's so easy to lose sight of what your market actually wants. You're like, there's so many things getting thrown at you, cool new technology, your investors telling you that this is the thing you should build, or other people just giving you advice or seeing what other companies are doing. If your client and your market is not saying they need it, they don't. You need to be so connected. You need to I was reading somewhere that you need to get badges for companies at least twice, like 2 badges a quarter. You need to go visit them so often. It's all about your market, and that's what kind of builds everything. There's nothing else that matters. And this is not only just pre-seed, like we do it right now. In the last quarter, we had over 350 one-on-one conversations with C-level executives who want to make an impact. We call them, so we have on an average, me and Gaurav have 8 calls a day just to get feedback. And they're exclusively feedback calls. So that's the only thing that's going to make your product better, your sales better, your marketing better.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's really important. Yeah, that customer development never really stops. That's great advice.
Exactly.
Always go back to the client. Okay, yeah, well, so we kind of touched on this really briefly, and I don't actually know your kind of, immigrant story, but, you're both immigrant co-founders. Apart from being a female founder, I mean, what are some of the unique challenges that I guess you faced? You could speak to it more generally, or even, where you are in Southern California. But yeah, what's it like being an immigrant founder, and why is that? Yeah, what advice can you?
It's definitely harder. I feel, and I don't know, but sometimes you feel that it's like 2 jobs. You're doing 2 jobs. So you're full-time working on your immigration, and you're full-time. The system is not easy. It's not easy to navigate it or understand it. And it's like by day we're entrepreneurs, by night we're immigration experts. So you have to learn all of it. Definitely the system is really great for people who have jobs, but entrepreneurship is not something that's stable. Entrepreneurship is not something that constantly gives you a source of income, which is really important to show. And that in itself is such a huge hurdle that every immigrant founder just goes through. It's, again, like that's the worst thing, that it's just 2 jobs. And for us, we've had like some crazy rides with this entrepreneurship journey. I remember from a point when, for Gaurav, I think we literally had 2 days. We had 2 days in between his visa expiring and him having to go back and us applying. We bought a one-way ticket. We're like, okay, this is it. And then it came through.
Wow.
But it's like rock bottom becomes a very different story when it's an immigrant founder, because it's not just like the uncertainty of your company, it's uncertainty of you being here at all. So that just kind of compounds. So it's definitely hard, but then again, it makes you stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And yeah, that's a lot of doesn't kill yous.
Awesome. Yeah, so I feel like this question is maybe a little out of order, and maybe we'll reshuffle them when we actually go to publish this. But the other thing we really wanted to ask you about is basically how you think about impact, right? Like you guys are an impact business. You basically facilitate other people to be able to make an impact. How should founders make sure that they're doing good in the world? Do you have recommended ways, whether it's quantifiable or not, that or how do you conceptualize in your own mind thinking about just making sure you're doing good in the world as an entrepreneur?
So what we've seen with a lot of our clients, and just like you have benefits such as, PTO and flexible hours and, health benefits, there's a new benefit that is definitely on the rise called VTO, which is volunteering time off. So companies have started including that in their HR policy, in which they say we'll give you 8 hours a year. Some companies are extremely generous and they give like 12 hours a year. And they're like, we'll give you this time to go on company paid time to go volunteer in the community and report the impact. Some companies are going further above and beyond, and they're like, okay, if you have 12 hours, but you put 24 hours in there, we'll give $100 to the charity of your choice. So basically, impact is a very collective thing that companies have to spearhead. Volunteering time off is an amazing way to be able to do that. But then again, a lot of companies are also doing like disaster drives. Like if there was this Hurricane Harvey and there were so many others that came, even if it's like they set up a box and they're like, we donated X cans of something, and then they quantify the monetary value of that. That's another great way of showing impact. And then a lot of companies encourage employees to do it on their own time as well. Corporate social responsibility definitely comes for companies that are, 5,000, 6,000 employees plus. But for the smaller companies, I think it can be a great team building effort as well. I think Founder Institute's office went for a couple of Habitat for Humanities. It's a great way to just like, instead of going out for a beer, which you can do, of course, beer is great, but you can go out as a team building for smaller companies and put the impact there as well.
Awesome. Okay, and last but not least, I don't know how much you can share publicly about kind of things that are happening, but what's the latest? Tell us what's going on at InvolveSoft. Any updates to share?
Our team's growing like crazy. Our clients we're currently over 55 enterprise clients. So that's a lot of, so we're trying to grow our customer success as fast as possible. I need to stop doing customer success. We just signed, I don't know, we have a lot of alcohol brands for some reason now. Like manufacturing has become a really huge market for us because we want to engage the floor workers. So that's really exciting. So we're expanding across a lot of manufacturing industries. And yeah, we're getting really close to 1 million annual recurring revenue. So we're going to cross it. So we're fingers crossed for that. Perfect. Awesome. You guys gotta come by. Really excited to talk to you, Dustin. Thank you.
Yeah, I imagine you're super busy, so I guess we'll let you get on to your next thing. I can't imagine how many of these like large companies you're talking to every day. How many beer?
I try not to. I became CTO for a reason, so that I don't have to talk to anybody. It's just not working in my favor. Perfect. Awesome, you guys. Thank you. I'll send you the recording right after.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thanks so much.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.